Welcome to the Time to Practice Summer Edition. This series is meant to give you a little weekly burst of inspiration, motivation, or food for thought about music learning and music practice for young musicians each week before we restart Season 4 in September. You'll hear tips from past expert guests, listeners, and even, I hope, tips from young musicians themselves this year, and I can't wait to share them with you. Whenever you listen to this episode, whether it's in the summer or throughout the year, I hope these episodes speak to you and give you actionable advice that you can use. This episode is brought to you by the supportive teacher community that I co-run with frequent podcast guest Barbie Wong. We have recently shifted gears to primarily support teachers, and through those teachers, support the parents and families that they work with. Join us and find more information at barbiewong.com/community. Welcome back, everyone. This week, I have a short and sweet episode to share with you that really was inspired by my week at the Oregon Suzuki Institute last week. We often talk on this podcast about tips to help students stay engaged and motivated and making progress on their instruments. And last week at the Institute, which, if you don't know, is a music camp that's very immersive for students and their families in the Suzuki method, I got to teach a class for parents, give a couple of parent talks, and have lots of conversations with many parents and teachers. I think this institute does a fantastic job, as many of them do, in offering a lot of opportunities for parents and caregivers to get support along with the student getting support. I saw how appreciative parents were, how many people attended the talks at this institute, and also how many parents told me that they appreciated the support they were getting and how much they were looking for that. So, the practice tip I want to share with you this week is really that if you are a parent or a caregiver supporting your child's music practice, to remember that just as much as your child needs support in their practice on their instrument, you might also need support as the practice support grown up. When you're reflecting on what motivates your child's practice, also take a moment and reflect on what motivates you to practice with your child. This can be as simple as zooming out and thinking big picture about what you hope your child will gain from music over the years of study, what you see them gaining already, how far they've come. As a parent, that always motivated me to hit pause and think big like that, to put everything into perspective and remember why we were getting into that practice space each and every day. Of course, our child's musical journey is theirs, and we don't want to make it all about us. That's not what I'm talking about here. But also, we are involved in the process, and giving support day in and day out takes a lot of mental and emotional energy. I think it's vital to think about what support we have for ourselves or what support we are giving ourselves so we don't burn out and can minimize the feeling that practice has become a chore or that we are dreading it as the practice support person. A parent once told me that they used to dread practice and find it an actual chore each day when their child first got started. But then over time, they were able to shift things so that they started to value the time and look forward to practice with their child, even calling it, quote, the best part of their day. This is what I hope for each one of you listening. How you make that happen is going to vary for each family and even from child to child. But things like focusing on the quality time or one-on-one time you get for your child in practice, finding ways to make practice joyful, fun, or even neutral if it's been in a more negative space can make a big difference. Getting ourselves as the parent or caregiver in the right frame of mind before we get started so that we can enjoy the process or at least make the process more neutral for ourselves. Incorporating games, checklists, creativity, and celebration into practice in a way that feels meaningful and authentic to us and to our children. Sometimes our child really needs that checklist to stay motivated. And sometimes we, as the practice adult, might need a checklist for ourselves to stay motivated and see the progress we are making. The same can be said for games and other creative aspects of practice. In an ideal world, both partners in the practice relationship, the student and the grown up supporting them, can learn to appreciate the process, can learn to have a relationship with each other where we work as teammates, and that we can both see and appreciate the outcomes that are happening in music and in the way we are interacting with one another in the practice space. Maybe it's hard to see those things from minute to minute or on one given day, but hopefully from day to day or month to month, and even over the years, we can really start to see that change and grow. I don't really have a prescription for you if you're listening to this as a parent or caregiver for just how to take care of yourself in a way that helps you support your child because we are all so different and so individual. But rather than give you prescriptive advice, this episode is more of an invitation to reflect and to observe and to brainstorm. What do you need to help yourself show up in a way for your child that supports their practice and doesn't burn you out? If it's not possible to do exactly what you come up with right now, what is a baby step or a first step that you can take to get you closer to accomplishing that goal? Taking a few minutes to reflect on that as we're thinking about our summer practice can make a huge difference now and in the months and years to come. I would love to hear your reflections if you'd like to share them with me. I'm not planning to make an episode out of anything anyone shares, but I would love to hear how you're taking care of yourself as the practice parent if you'd like someone to share with. You can send me an email, Christine@SuzukiTriangle.com. That is spelled with a CH. Or you could send me a message on Instagram. My handle there is @SuzukiTriangle. But you don't have to share with me. Maybe you can find a friend, another musician, another parent in the studio, or another parent you know that is practicing with a young musician in their life, or even pull out a journal and share your reflections that way. I think reflecting and also sharing that reflection, even if it's privately in our journal, can make a big difference. So that is my tip for you today. As we help support our children to learn to develop a love of music and to gain skills on their instrument, how are we supporting ourselves so that we can keep showing up and supporting them on that journey they are on? We'll be back next week with a short practice tip from a guest who was a Suzuki child herself, who's also a parent and teacher, and I can't wait to share that with you next time we're here together. Until then, happy practicing and take very good care.